Hey, how are
Hey,
you?
I'm good. You?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a fun-filled weekend, that's for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Me too. I went to White River rafting.
Okay, you got me beat. I went to a baby shower. Whole different night, whole different crew. Whole different crew. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I vote for the rafting.
It was my daughter's baby shower, so I vote there. Hey, but at least you went with a bunch of cool women though, right?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. It was
yeah.
a really good girlfriend getting together and, letting it all out. So we were the only boat that was only women. So it was pretty interesting. Yeah, yeah. So,
Um, Very different for me, and the one thing that I loved about, right, the different things that we do with women that bring you different aspects of yourself, right? Like I was sitting there and looking back and, I'm still like, so this, this is going to be my first grandchild. And I'm sitting there and I'm sitting beside my niece and we're telling stories. And we're telling stories of how my son, I was going through his baby stuff with him because I was looking for stuff for, Chloe. And he was like, why isn't my cousin Ireland at my first birthday party? And I'm like, she wasn't born. And she was sitting beside me, right? And there's so many different memories from so many different circles, right? And just being there with women to celebrate, this woman bring this new child in and all the traditions and cultures and different things that we have. It's very cool. It's very cool. That whole
awesome.
bonding thing. But I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yes,
Lots of memories. Some of them we'll share. Some of them we'll share.
yes.
But I'm excited today because we get to talk about one of our favorite topics, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the resilience, doesn't
Resilience.
it? Doesn't it? Resilience can be so many different words. It can be determination. It can be courage, right? It can be stepping out of the box. It can be like till death do us part, right? Really, really. Resilience is it's a pretty powerful word. It's got so much duration to it, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All in, all
Yes.
in.
So what is resilience to you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Look at you, hot this morning. Whitewater rafting. She's all ready.
I
You go.
feel like a
Okay,
fighter. I survived and I can walk today.
awesome. That's how I felt last week when I went back to boxing for the first time after 14 years. I was so good then. And the next day I was like, oh yeah, not so much, not so much. But what does resilience mean to me? You know what? Maybe because I'm in mom mode right now. I'm in mom mode. And I think about the times that resilience, I mean, there's so many, right? There's so many. I'm sure that our shows are going to be full of people that inspire or remind us of the times that we were resilient. But it was funny talking about babies and kids and kind of where I've been at for the last, 24, 48 hours. One of the things that people talked about that we were talking about was like, did your child sleep? You went to child sleep, right? And we're talking about resilience. And someone said to me, because they know that my son had his first night through the night, like the first night through, didn't wake up, didn't anything when he was 8, and my daughter was 5. How I ended up even having 2 children is beyond me. But for someone who wanted 5 kids, I was like, I'm good. I'm good. But I had a friend of mine say to me, how did you do it? And I'm like,
You just did it. Yes. So our beautiful Deborah
okay,
here just froze.
okay.
So,
Oh, did I freeze? Am I
yes,
back?
you did. You
Okay.
froze gracefully, but you did freeze.
Okay. So the thing is about resilience is sometimes you choose resilience is what I'm thinking. Sometimes you're like, okay, I'm going to do this no matter what, and I'm going to get through it, and I'm going to call in the troops and I'm going to go for it. Sometimes it's forced. So when I think about resilience, that was one of the things I've been thinking about lately. It's like, you know what, when your back's against the wall, that's when you see how resilient you are. Right? So what about you, Miss Whitewater Rafting? Let's see.
Oh, well, it's funny because, I always thought resilience, you're supposed to learn from it. And usually you learn from it and you also learn life lessons because there's all kind of resilience, can go from the smallest thing to the grieving someone. So I think my biggest piece of resilience, I have so many different ones. I don't want to sound like cool here, but I am cool. Um, but yeah, I got married twice and got divorced twice. So that for me was quite a big piece of resilience. And I've learned through it. And, you
Yeah.
know, I had 3 kids and now I have 4 dogs. So definitely I know resilience. Definitely I'm not learning lessons. I keep jumping in the same thing.
No. That's sometimes. Yeah.
Or
No.
maybe it's because like I know how to work it now. So I'm like, it's okay, I can jump again and I'll get out of it. But today, you know, we're meeting with someone that it's a person that I love so much. I met her through soccer. And that too was, you know, for me anyway, I had never played team sports in my life. And at 38, I decided to join a soccer league because I thought it would be cool and it would be a good way to socialize. My third game, I broke my foot. So, you know, it started rough, but I met so many amazing women there, and it's a whole different world and it's a whole different spirit. And it's, for me, it's like what it taught me in team sports is that whether you like someone or not, whether you agree with them or not, whatever, while you're on the field, you are a team and you have one common goal is to score and protect your net. And that for me was so powerful when I kind of knew, but when I integrated it, and now it's been like a few years, I'm not going to say how many, but a few years. And, you know, I think it was one of my best lessons. But all of this saying, I met Ry through soccer, and I've never seen this lady come with a bad attitude. She's always the one who will cheer to the end, even when we're losing 10-0. You know, she will keep cheering just for people to stay happy. She's just a genuine, positive person. And I was so attracted to her when you know, we started playing together. And then we became friends. And I got to have little insights in her life. And, you know, we always think that everyone's life is perfect. And, you know, seeing Ry, it's like, oh my gosh, this girl has it all. She's perfect. She's happy. She's gorgeous. She has beautiful kids, blah, blah, blah. But what I've learned the most from her is because she really, really mastered resilience. And today I want to introduce Ry Duong, who's, you know, just started you know what, instead of telling everything that I know, I will ask you, well, first of all, welcome, Ry. Oops. Yeah,
Maybe
I, I will
maybe
unmute. I will unmute you, Ry. Okay,
Sure.
so welcome, Ry. I'm so sorry.
She's still muted. Hang on, Ry. So let's unmute this powerful lady. Let's get
Can
her
you
in.
hear me?
Go.
Yay! That's all
Yay.
right. Get
Yay!
you
So, Ry,
here.
welcome to our little talk show. You know, it's a place where we want real talk, and I love that you're coming on and you will talk to us about a few different things about resilience. But first of all, can you tell us a little bit more about you? Who's Ry Duong?
Okay, so before I actually do that, I just wanted to give a shout out to you girls. Carolyn, you like are so generous. You gave me a super sweet introduction that I don't deserve, and you almost brought me to tears. I feel the same, a lot of love, and seeing you girls, sisterhood, launching your podcast, I'm super excited. So I'm happy to be here without crying, but I'm really, really touched to be here. Okay. So a little bit about me. Well, I met Carolyn through soccer, and soccer is what I love. Team sport. I've always loved team sport. It's the space where I can feel like I can be myself, compete, give my best. But I'm not competing against a team. It feels like I'm competing against a team to bring my team somewhere, but I'm actually just competing against myself. So a little bit about me. So like Carolyn said, I'm Ry Duong, and I work as a personal counselor. I have a training in social work. So helping people is really my passion. But now I'm kind of launching my own business. So Ry Counseling. my
Yeah.
own company with my own vision to empower people. So that's why here I am. I don't know what else you want me to say about myself.
Well, I know that you were raised in a gorgeous, spirited family with one sister and two brothers.
Yes, that's correct. Wow, good memory.
Yes. And just
Awesome.
talk, I really want people to learn a little bit about the amazing spirit that I witnessed in a different situation, but I did witness the spirit of your family. And I think, can you give us like just a little bit on that?
Sure. Well, our family is just like any other family. We have our little dysfunctional and annoying habits, our little skeleton, a little bit everywhere. But I think fundamentally, we really, really do care about each other. And I got great parents who's gone through a lot of hardship, who gone through the Cambodian genocide, who lived through the refugee camp. Didn't speak any language, didn't have any kind of work skill when they came to Canada. But the one thing that they definitely taught me, which I didn't understand then when I was younger, is that they live in this poor apartment and they always smile and they keep working hard. And every day I would ask them, like, once a week or every 2-3 times a week, I'm like, Dad, why do you guys work so hard? Like, we don't have much of a childhood. We didn't have cars, we didn't have no TV, so our only entertainment was radio if we were lucky, if it's working. And we don't get to go out. Saturdays, Sundays is not really a weekend. Until I got much older. But the one thing I asked my parents, like, why do you guys keep working so hard? What's the gain in this whole thing? You do the same thing over and over again and you seem like okay and happy, but I'm seeing people much well off, having fun, and we don't seem to have that. And they said, well, we are really lucky we get to come to Canada to have a better opportunity and it will be better. And they say this to me like for a good 20 years of my life. And then I see them now, 30 years after being in Canada. They've been able to bought their own home, purchase their own car, and they're not rich, but they live well. And that to me is resilience. It's even the hardest time, you still keep going. So.
Yeah. So
That's awesome. That's very inspiring.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm. So what is resilience to you besides, watching your parents? And what I witnessed is that it's the beauty and love in your family. No matter whatever you guys went through, you've always been there for each other. And I think it's huge. But, in more modern days or in your current life, what is resilience to you?
So for me, I mean, really, resilience, like you guys spoke, it was really beautiful. So resilience can mean different things to different people. I can't speak for people's behalf. I can only speak for myself. So for me, resilience is really about being able to bounce back through any kind of adversity. It doesn't matter what comes your way. I learned to accept that life, like in the Buddhist culture, life is suffering. So it is inevitable that you will face challenge at some point. So I kind of just embrace that. And because I embrace that, I see life as that whenever you get knocked down, and as much as it hurts and as horrible as it is, there's always beauty behind the hurt because there is something you're supposed to learn. And it's hard when you're going through it. You're like, I don't want to learn anything. I just want to be able to have a normal, easy life. But through the path, like they say, a teacher presents himself whenever you need it. So when you're facing adversity, there is something about your life you're supposed to see and understand so that you become better. So for me, resilience is being knocked down and getting back up. So like our famous Canadian Shark Tank judge that I love, Robert. I forgot his last name, but I love that dude. And he talks as well about his immigrant parents coming here and having absolutely no money, and he realized I hate failure. The word failure to me, it bugs the living crap out of me. So I do not want to be in that position. And for him is resilience is being able to absorb the shock. And when you're feeling like you cannot go on, that's when you push and push till you make it there. And when you get to that point, there's nothing that's going to stop you, because then you feel like you've done everything, so you're not afraid anymore. So that's what resilience is knowing that you're scared shitless and yet you choose to do it anyways. It's giving your very best.
Wow, that's awesome. I actually saw that interview where he talked about that, or the one of the ones that talked. Yeah, I was listening to a podcast with him last week, and he was very adamant about that word failure. Like you could hear it come through my, my ear pods. He was like, I hate the word failure. Like it just was like not acceptable. Like don't even, yeah, he was very adamant. I'm like, woo, there's, at least he knows his line. It's like, we all know our line. We all know our line. So I'd love to ask you, Ry, what do you offer people? I mean, what a great insight into your family and to kind of where you come from, and one of the things that you obviously stand for. So, how do you transform that? How do you bring that forward in what you offer people? So what are you offering?
So like with re-counseling is I'm basically doing counselings and coaching. So I see all kinds of people who are just going through some difficult and challenge time. It doesn't have to be a crisis particularly. They just come to me because they need a little boost and they need a little bit of guidance, and then they're good for a month, and then they'll come back and see me in the next 2 months. So it's just like a little tune up, I do with them. And some people it's just because they want to work on themselves. They want to do personal growth. But I see people for all kinds of different reasons. So I like to work a lot with people who's gone through heartbreak, separations, or divorce. And I also believe in marriage. So I'm a big, I promote that as much as possible. It's not always possible, but when it is, I try to help couple reconnect to each other. But in short, what I offer really is my specialty. I've come to realize that I will talk a little bit later about that, but like when we mention RC, it's re-counseling, but it also represents my name and my sister's name. So it's Ry and Shane, my little sister who passed away from depression.
Mm-hmm.
And she took away her life, but she was suffering a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave it her best. So like, I'm not judging or anything like that. I know my sister because we're very, very close. But what I offer people is to tell them there's another option. Then, sometimes you feel like giving up, and they got reasons, and I'm not judging, but I would like to hope, to think, because I don't want any other families or young girls especially to have to go through it alone.
Right.
And
So it sounds like
sorry,
oh,
I just wanted to add one thing on there. Like when we talk about resilience, and Ry, thanks for sharing that. I know how difficult it was. And I went to the funerals, and it was honestly probably the most beautiful funeral I've ever seen, because it was done in their way, and it was a celebration of life. And especially that Chang left in a very tragic way, it was still a celebration of life, and it was actually inspiring to be there. There was something fulfilling and inspiring, because it was not done in the traditional way of, we lost something, how are we going to survive? It was done in the way of like, look who Chang was, and look how amazing she was, and let's honor this and celebrate this. So I came out of there like emotional, but also there's a part of me that was transformed as to exactly what Ry is saying, to look into the beauty of something when it's there instead of focusing on the loss. And I think, Ry, that's a bit, I know it was your sister's dream and your dream to start into consulting. So I'll let you continue on that, but that's how it came to be for you.
And that's amazing. What I heard that you
Yes. So
offer.
how it came to be.
No, sorry, there was a delay. Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things that I heard that I thought was phenomenal is when in talking about what you offer people is not only the experience from obviously your certification and your studies, but you can also bring to the table a great sense of depth and empathy and heart into being able to make movement and change for people. So helping people through resilient times is obviously, we're talking about resilience, but also being able to take that person almost from both sides. You know, you're not wondering, you've had these life experiences from, you know, your parents and family and your own personal experience, but you also have the study behind it to be able to help people through in a very supportive but educated way. Like that's just really quite a gift to be able to bring to the table, I would think. Very relatable, very relatable. People would be able to relate to that. So I think it's very powerful.
Yeah, and what I will ask you here is that I know you're offering an amazing course. You offer a series of courses, and we will, for anyone who's actually interested in signing up for those classes, we will put all the information, with our podcast and our videos. But what I would like you to tell us today is, first of all, do you have like 2 quick tips on resilience that you can give to someone who's struggling right now with anything, whether it be a small thing or a big thing? And maybe talk to us a bit too about what is your course bringing, like what's the objective of your course and who would sign up for this kind of course?
Okay. Thank you so much, Carolyn. So a little tips, and I love tips, and they are tips, and they are research-based tips, and they are also tips that I actually practice in my own life. So I like to walk the talk. Like when I am actually doing my course, when I'm with my clients, I'm as real as I can possibly be. I like it that way. And so when I'm teaching somebody something, I don't want to just tell them what to do and then you don't really do it. So what I'm teaching is because it's grounded on research and it's proven to have worked in my client's life as well. So like a little tips, like the first thing, and I'm sure you heard of it and you kind of know, but I hope to bring a little bit more clarity, of course. One of the things that when you're actually doing, like for resilience, let's say you encounter challenges in your life. So the first thing, and it's the hardest one to do, is to actually stay calm. Like if you can, you're gonna go into a panic mode. You're gonna be like, yeah, I can't. You're overwhelmed and stuff like that. But whenever you can, after you do your mourning, your grief, give yourself like 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. At the very beginning, it's gonna be really hard, so you need more time. But set a time for yourself that you're going to do the grieving. So 2-3 hours a day. But when you're done with those 2-3 hours, stop it. Don't go into the dark thought. Don't go into that area. You got to distract yourself with some action, something else, because you still have your family. You still have to care for yourself. You have friends and people who look up to you. So you need to carry on. So when you can, do the grieving and then just take some time, like some self-care time with yourself. I don't know, maybe you like to listen to a podcast like this podcast, and be inspired. Or you would like to read up on different things that gives you build courage for it. But set some 30 minutes to do some self-care for yourself. Go for a nice hot bath. Watch a good movie on Netflix, whatever it is, you need to do that. Then it allows you to calm yourself. And when you're able to calm yourself, able to look at your problem at a different angle with much more perspective. So you're not reacting to your emotion, you're actually being strategic on how you are going to achieve that goal on building resilience. And don't focus on the big picture. I can't get myself out of there. Try to chew on the small little piece. break it down. Like start your day with, okay, today I need to do this, like list out what you have to do. Don't overwhelm yourself. And then put like criteria. Level 1, like I need to phone, like, I don't know, let's say I need to make appointment for my kids. So that's level 1, it's easy. And second level, I need to pass the vacuum. It's a little bit harder, require more assistance. So passing the vacuum require a little bit more of your effort. Level 3, like I gotta work on my presentation, a big conference that I have to work on. That requires much more investment in your time. So you start out your day with your priority of what you need to really work on. So you hone on your main focus and you put on the level so that you can focus on the task and don't be too hard on yourself. So very, very important to be kind to yourself. And I'll end with this very last one. There's more strategy, of course, but I want to give out the second one is this is so, so important is you got to stop thinking in the victim mentality. I know you hear it all the time, but we all do it. We go into the self-pity modes and we all deserve it. So maybe do some self-pity for a day, but get over it. You need to tackle it and then just look at the situation and say, you know, don't ask yourself, like, why is this happening to me? The question you should be asking yourself is, why not me? Because life does not discriminate who it chooses to give obstacle to. You, me, rich, poor, good person, bad person, it doesn't matter. So always think, why not you? And what are you going to do about it? Get yourself out of there and just stay alive. As soon as you are able to move up in terms of strength and build momentum and care for yourself, then you're going to be able to tackle bigger goals. So that would be my suggestion.
Awesome. And I assume that your course is actually guiding people through that over a certain amount of time, because I love to hear all those tips, but I also remember being in those moments and you look at the tips and you're like, okay, and now what? You know, because you're you and you. So you need to reach out and for me, a huge part of self-care is taking classes, you know, getting the tools that you need. And I know that Deb is huge on that as well. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So maybe just define, and then we're going to hop over to a really interesting question that I want to ask you. So define. So when you offer courses, is it a weekend? Is it an evening? Is it 24 hours? Does it go over the course of 6 weeks? Maybe give us just a little bit of snippet because everybody does them so differently. And then I've got a question that I'm just dying to ask.
Okay, so my course, I call it the Warrior of Life, and it's basically why I say the warrior. I get inspired because it's to tap into your inner beast. It's everybody got that inner beast. Just unleash the beast. Get angry with your life sometime. And use that as a positive fuel to propel you further ahead. So that's why I call it Warrior of Life. It's that you become like this warrior inside. So you're tapping into your inner strength. And most people will be really surprised when they're faced with challenge, the strength that they can muster up. They're like, I can't believe I can do this. Because it's inside of you. You just never actually took the time to look at it. So the Warrior of Life, it's a 6-week program of 1.5 hours. And every week is a specific topic, like with practical, hands-on, concrete strategy that I will teach you to actually get you to tap into your inner strength, learning to let go of expectation and not always trying to please other people. I want you by the end of my program to be comfortable in your own skin and just love yourself like the way you are. Nobody's perfect, but just say, I love myself unapologetically the way I am, and I'm going to face adversity like no one else does it best. So that's what I want to offer. And 1.5 hours, it's not a lot. Like, you spend all your time on TVs or surfing on Facebooks and stuff. 1 hour of your own self-care is going to do you a miracle. And I'm not bragging for this course because I've been researching and doing so many things, and I apply it in my own life. And they work. And that's why I'm super enthusiastic to start it. So the launch is August the 10th. So And it's one evening in the week, 1 hour between 7 to 8:30, or on a Saturday or a Sunday from in the morning, 10 to 11:30, something like that.
Awesome. And I'm sure that you'll have, different courses. I know that that's the one starting, but if you miss that date, I don't want people to think that there isn't more coming on, because clearly this woman has a lot to give. Caroline, did you want to ask anything on your side before I go in with a nice question? Should we give her a little bit of a break, or?
Yeah, no, it's I'm just in awe because
Okay.
yes, I'm in awe, and we will put the information to reach Ry.
Yeah.
But it's Ry RC Consulting,
Yeah.
and
It's Ry RC Counseling.
Okay.
that's
Well,
what I said. Sorry.
We're so, Caroline's so enthralled with what you said, but here's my question to you, because, and it doesn't have to be in any, like, it doesn't have to be in the field or even in the topic of resilience, but I think we've all had little bits and pieces of, I want to know, because you're, that was a pretty powerful statement. I want to know who your hero is. I want to know who, maybe one of your heroes or someone that made a real impression on you.
Oh my God, that's a tough question. But the truth is, I don't have just one.
Yeah, just pick
My
one.
hero. Okay, I understand that. I don't have one. It's my hero. It's really just ordinary people doing amazing things. Those are my hero. The everyday people, my neighbor, Carolyn, for example, for stepping out of nowhere and just being there for me. Those are my hero. The people who don't wait for recognition, who are doing good things, not because somebody is watching them, because they do it from the bottom of their. Those are my hero. Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So here's my last question. And then I think Caroline's going to ask you a final, and then me and Caroline, I think, you know what? I think, I know that Caroline just said that I love doing workshops. I love workshops. I love personal development. I think it's a big part of who we are and why we've connected. And I think that, maybe we'll talk a little bit about this at the end, but my last question for you before Caroline takes over and I could just see look at that smile on her face. She's just dying to ask you something. This might seem like a completely off the topic question, because you know what? It is. So there's a reason why me and Caroline came up with this, and we might share that with people somewhere down the road. But our question to you is, which side of the bed do you sleep on?
That's a funny one. I never really think of those kind of things.
I know.
I right now I'm sleeping on the left side of my bed. That's because my husband has a shoulder injury. But what I would really like to sleep on is on the right side of the bed. That's what I would prefer. But it also depends on the layout of the room. Like, some layout are odd. But usually I like to sleep on the right side of the bed because I like to wake up on my right, like starting my day right. And also I want to stand for the right thing. So right is my right side.
Okay, so just simply intuitively, you're a right side sleeper. Okay, so Caroline,
That's so funny. And you know what? I was laying in bed last night thinking about the fact that we were thinking about asking this question, and oh my gosh, we just did it. But I was like, how do you determine left from right? Is it when you're sleeping on your back in your bed that this is my right? Or when you're standing in front of your bed that this is my right?
Yeah,
it's all like
completely changes it. I think when you're lying in bed and looking out of the bed, whichever way it is, are you on the left side, or are you on the right side? So
okay, well, we'll need to clarify that for our studies.
Yeah, we're doing our own research, and we'll release those studies in years to come. All right. Yeah. So Carol, have a final question for our amazing. All right.
So Ry, our show is True That, because we really want to have the real talk, and we want to talk about, what's true. And everyone has a different definition of truth. And it's interesting sometimes to share, But to close this show, I will ask you, so what is the real truth for you about resilience or whatever, but in general, what's the truth for you?
For me, at this moment, because it may change, I know they always change depending on your period where you are in life. But to me today, true that means like living without having no regrets. So the fact that I'm launching my business, the fact that I'm going for it and I'm scared shitless, I'm like hoping people will sign up. But I know that it's going to be amazing, because when you decide to face your fear, when you go after the things that you are the most scared, that's when the biggest growth happen. And I can feel my wings spreading. I feel I'm in my element. I feel this is what my mission is supposed to be in life. I couldn't be more clearer, and I'm going to enjoy doing it however it takes. I won't give up. So like I said, resilience, I rarely give up. You see me on the soccer field, I'm going all for it. So here I am. That's my truth for today.
Well,
Wow.
thank you so much. And I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. And, just remember that everyone has fear. I'll talk about it a bit in my closing, because Deb, asked me to think about something. And it's funny because it could answer exactly what you just said there. But I know you will be successful, because I know the power and the value you have to bring to people. And you've been doing it for years. It's just now you're doing it under your own branding, so it feels different. But anyway, I've seen you in real life, and I know, and I wish you all the success in the world. And do you want to say anything?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your insight. And I think that's the part about the asking people about the truth is, when people see you say that you're scared and that you're starting this venture, that's really the truth, right? The truth is we don't all get to where we get to by, unicorns and rainbows. And trust me, I'm a unicorn rainbow girl. You'll soon come to know that. I love rainbows and unicorns, but there is a truth behind, the veil and what we see and hear. So it's really great. So thank you so much for sharing that. And before you leave, I would love to close off. And so Caroline, I know that we've done so much together in terms of exactly what this woman's bringing to the world, in terms of personal growth and development. But one of the things that I love about this course idea, and it took me back when we were talking, is some of the epiphanies in life, some of those messages that you get. So, you can take a course and you can be sitting there listening to someone for an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, and all of a sudden, one sentence, all of a sudden, one answer, all of a sudden, one epiphany literally can get you writing pages of notes and shift like no tomorrow. I always tell the story of when I was in Ireland and I grabbed this taxi driver, and we'd had a great relationship, and he was my taxi driver for a few days because I would just call him and he'd come. And he asked me one question about relationships, and I answered him, and he gave me a one-word answer. Not a one-word answer, one sentence answer. And I'm like, I think you just saved 3 years of therapy. Sometimes it's just that pinnacle piece. It really was. I was like, I actually have his name and number. I sent him a thank you letter. I'm like it was like the best advice taxi drivers in Dublin. I'm just kind of
And
letting
she's
it
like,
out.
I don't understand why he's not answering anymore after doing 12 hours of free therapy over the phone. Joe, if ever you hear this podcast, please call Deborah.
I need you. I miss you.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay. But here's the epiphany to what we were just saying. So I'm going to ask you, and feel free to ask me, because I know you don't ever let me off the hook. That's why we do this, and that's why we do it so well, is kind of the rawness of how we are with each other. But share some insight. Let's get brave here, in the moment, without being planned. So
Yeah.
what in a workshop or in a lecture or in a series, when did you kind of have your brave up moment? What did you hear that changed whatever you needed to change at that time? Do you remember anything?
Well, actually, like really off the top of my head like that. And so it will veer me off of what I was going to say about fear. But I did when I was pregnant with my second. I was going into the blues, a bit of a depression, and I did not want to take any medication. So I did a cognitive behavioral therapy. It was 12 weeks. It was 1 hour a week. And I was just like, why am I doing that? But I was new to Vancouver. I didn't know anyone. So I just thought, well, at least I'm going to see people, 1 hour every week, because there was no Zoom back then. My daughter is 19. But and I studied psychology, like it was my minor in university. So a lot of what they were saying, I knew, you know, but hearing it in the moment when I needed to hear it, and for me, the most powerful thing was sitting with other people, and we were all going through it together. And, you know, I knew about depression, this and that, but when I heard one lady that her baby step for the next day, because we would, you know, do goals, and it's a whole like life shift. You need to change your your mindset. Her goal was to brush her teeth the next morning. And
Wow.
I will always remember that because it struck me to a point of, I was just like thinking that I was pretty deep in, but I had another kid. So I was pregnant of my second and I could still function. But until I heard her say that from her mouth, and in that moment, I never realized how deep depression could be, because I was getting up and brushing my teeth and this and that and that. It was something inside that was hurting, but I was still functional. But anyway, when I heard that, it gave me the permission to have my feelings and to address my feelings and to be okay with the fact that, okay, I know basically what they're telling me, but now I'm a student. I'm gonna listen to it differently. So for me, that was my epiphany. It's, I can't give you a big proverb or whatever. Sometimes it's the silliest thing. Like I'm dying to know what your taxi driver told you. So I'm dying for it, and I'm like, is it appropriate? So I'm kind of like, do I ask a question or not? So you know, I will save us all, and I'm not gonna ask you, but we would appreciate if you want to share, you know, safe therapy for everyone. But now you, Deb, I know that you are a woman who hires coaches, you go to workshops, and sometimes I don't even understand why you're going to workshop, because you could teach them. You know, quite often actually, I'm like, you could teach those things. Why are you attending? So what's your take on going to classes like this and keep on personal development after all those years?
Yeah. So two things. I think I'll save the Irish story for later because we need some more interview time for that. And maybe we'll do the Ireland, you know, when I'm in Ireland, we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it from the taxi because I'm sure he's still there. So anyways, there was a couple things that flashed through my head as you were talking. And I think the one thing that I'll say is kind of a bit of a lead in. So yes, my teacher, so one of my teachers from India said to me, you don't know it unless you can teach it. And she taught me that very early on because she taught me some really powerful things. And then she's like, okay, go teach it. And then I know that you'll know it. So I was just naive enough to believe her because, you know, that's what we do. So I do believe in continued learning because life changes, as you were saying, Ry, that life changes. Like what your truth now is may be very different, right? So you, Caroline, you know, there's a gentleman that we both have a lot of respect for in business, and his name's Jeff Olson. And I remember sitting at an event where there was not a lot of people. It wasn't one of the huge conferences that we've heard him at, but it was a smaller group. And I'm sure we've all heard this many different ways, but it was like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And I've heard that, and it's not landed. And the one time it landed, it made me flutter inside. Because I think for me, one of the things that I've always wanted to have is enough courage to be who I am in every area of my life. And sometimes who I am as a parent isn't who I thought I could be on stage. You know, sometimes who I could be on stage, I didn't think I could be in this intimate relationship or what have you. And so I think as we get older, you know, I've always shared with my daughter, and I'm older than 40s, but I always say by the time you get to 40s, if you still give a bleep about what people think about you, then it becomes shame on us, right? Because at that stage, what we're hoping to do, what we're hoping to spark out is to have enough brave and, you know, to be brave and courageous enough to be who we are. So for me, what I'm working on right now, and when he said that to me, it was like, I want to be able to be who I am, okay with who I am in each area. And for me, some of that has been around becoming more successful, more powerful, being able to express myself and not want to apologize or question myself. Doesn't mean I'm inappropriate, or I'm, saying things that I don't want to say. You know what I mean? It's like just really being who I am, comfortable with who I am, and not worrying so much about what it feels like. Because as a parent, I'm completely transparent. If you ask my kids, I'm like, I'm a raw parent. I just say it as it is. And I used to use the words non-negotiable, right? This is non-negotiable. I'm a negotiator, but this is non-negotiable. And my kids always know where I stand. Oh, right? And I don't have any qualms. If I've said it, shared it with you. If anyone ever said anything like, oh, they ever insulted my parenting, it wouldn't land. Because I think for me, I've done a great job in that area, right? So my confidence is really high. And what I want is I want my confidence high, or my competence high, knowing that what I do in one thing, I can bring to the other. So be who I am and not be afraid to be who I am. And maybe it's the generation that I came from, children should be seen and not heard. Girls have a certain position, and because I ventured out more into entrepreneurship 30 years ago, it was not something that women did and that kind of thing. So I felt like I had to be one personality at home and one in business. And I think becoming just more of who I am, and really, I love that. How you show up in one area is how you show up in all areas, right? So that's my piece on it.
I love it, and I think that for me, it's coming with age. So you have a few years on me, so that's why you're wiser. I had to say it here. So
right.
Careful, I have the control of muting you. No, but seriously, thank you to everyone for listening to us. We enjoyed it, so hope you guys enjoyed it as well and got value out of it. Ry, thank you so much for being with us and putting up with us. And I love you, and I wish you all the best. And Deborah, same to you. And
thank you. Yes, thanks, ladies.
Very quickly.
Ooh. Yeah,
absolutely.
I just wanted to say like a big shout out to you, ladies. I really enjoyed it. It was very pleasant. It's raw. It's authentic. So great job. I think you guys are going to do amazing. But thank you for having me on. Really, it's an honor.
Thank you for being on.
Yes, and thank you, audience. We hope that you've received some value. Please feel free to share and comment and come into our world and get to know us a little better. So have a good day, ladies.
Awesome. Bye.